So when I got out of the military in 2014, I was discharged from the Air Force. And for like 3 years, I went through some pretty deep depression, lack of fulfillment, didn't know my place in the world, didn't really have anything I was striving for, didn't think much of myself. And then I pretty much dedicated a year to learning self-communication, and it helped me overcome a lot of my own personal stuff, and it helped me find my purpose in life, which is to help others.
Hey everybody, I'm your host, Robert Woods, and thanks for listening to the Knight's Tale podcast, where we dig into the tips, tools, tactics, and mindsets required to make a smooth transition out of the military. The goal here is for transitioning veterans to gain perspective about their upcoming transition. And if you're looking for an opportunity, I want to be one of the people to help you on your way to getting there. And that's why every week I'll be sharing my conversations with some truly inspirational veterans about their stories and precisely how they were able to be successful after they transitioned out of the military. And today we have a special guest, and his name is Joey Utah. Joey Utah is a motivational speaker and veteran activist whose mission is to show you how self-communication and honest expression can greatly improve the quality of your life. He is definitely paving the way for himself in his industry of expertise, and we're going to gain some insight on his story and how he was able to come out of some dark places and manifest some amazing opportunities in his life. After I spoke with him, I just felt better about my life. And one part of me says, wow, this guy is great at his job. But on the other hand, I thought, this is his calling, and he has a prototypical mindset regarding overcoming obstacles, becoming your true self, and living a healthy life. Joey's a great person to follow if you want to maximize your potential. And I was so grateful to have a great conversation with him because he's a person that has mastered the art of self-mastery. And I don't know how you feel about this comparison, but he really reminds me of a young Joel Osteen in the way that positivity just radiates from his voice. Anyway, that's enough talking for me. Here's my interview with Joey Utah.
So how I brand myself is I want to show people how to start self-communicating, how to use self-expression to deal with different adversity in life, how to make your problems real, because we've all got problems. I'm trying to get people to feel comfortable and secure enough with actually, literally writing them out on paper and identifying what the problem is in their life, what's holding them back, what's bothering them, and I mostly target veterans, but the stuff that I'm teaching, like my first seminar is going to be in front of a university. So my main demographic is like the 18 to 30 demographic for now, but veterans are like my number one priority and, trying to reduce that suicide rate.
Wow. Did you feel like that at one point? Down or things like that?
Yeah. So when I got out of the military in 2014, I was discharged from the Air Force. And for like 3 years, I went through some pretty deep depression, lack of fulfillment, didn't know my place in the world, didn't really have anything I was striving for, didn't think much of myself. And then I pretty much dedicated a year to learning self-communication and watching guys like Tony Robbins and Dr. Jordan Peterson, just watching a lot of videos on how they do it and how they interact with others. And it helped me overcome a lot of my own personal stuff. And it helped me find my purpose in life, which is to help others. I can relate with a lot of veterans who have gone through some stuff. And I've had a lot of friends I've lost as well. So that's pretty much the main reason I do this.
It's really amazing. You went to college and you used your GI Bill. What was your experience like when you did the college thing?
Oh boy, how much time do you got? I liked college, but to sum it all up, I went back for 3 years to get my communications degree. I'm literally like 20 credits short of graduating. And I learned some good stuff. There was a lot of content, but my overall impression on it was I wasn't being taught how to assimilate into the work sector when I was going to graduate. I didn't feel confident in what I was being taught. I didn't feel like the teachers were given proper attention to make sure that myself and my classmates were learning in the most effective way possible. So I did start to grow a little bit of resentment toward the college system, just toward my personal experience. I'm not bashing the whole, I do think college serves its purpose for some people. But in my experiences, what I saw, I wrote this in my ebook, I felt like I was being taught how to be a victim 101. I did not have a good experience with college. I passed all my classes. I was doing good. I was on track to graduate. I just didn't feel like it was going to help me get to the next step to where I needed to be in life. So that's why I kind of just bowed out and started my own thing.
Yeah, that mentality made you start your own thing. It was kind of a challenge that created this opportunity. Do you feel more liberated now, or?
Oh, yeah. Yes, 100%. I don't want to say, because I really don't like to bash college too much. I just didn't feel like they know how to relate with students on an individual level. And when you can't do that and when you fail to relate, you're not effectively going to teach. I was less inclined to be able to grasp what they were teaching me. Especially someone like myself, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, with depression, with learning disabilities, and I was still passing. I was still, able to get the good grades, but I just felt like they weren't making me become a better version of myself, if that makes sense. So that's why I started my own thing. I got some good tools. There was some good content I learned. But a lot of things that I learned, I tell this to everybody, YouTube was my teacher for about a good year, 2 years. Of just nonstop watching videos of guys who I mentioned before, Tony Robbins, just hearing how different people talk and how they teach and relate. That's what drove me to starting my brand. I said, well, if these guys can do it with social media, what's to stop me from doing this, from learning this craft and from getting better at it and practicing and putting in the work. And I knew I had the discipline from the military. I'm very grateful for, because I knew if I put my mind to something and I'm motivated for the right reason, I'll get it done. College didn't do that for me. They didn't motivate me properly. They didn't give me a reason to want to do the extra work, to want to become a better version, because they just weren't getting root cause of what I want to do with my life.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs like you, but have trouble either making that a reality or just thinking that they can actually do it. You were basically like, hey, I have to do this. I really don't have any other choice, and I want it to be that way. Can you speak to like your experience in working with your clients and how you kind of get over that resistance?
Yeah. So I'm not a business guy. I was never I didn't go to school for business. I'm not really good with accounting or numbers or anything like that. But for me, what it came down to, and what I tell all my clients, anybody who I sign up to coach right away, is the first thing you got to do is you got to get in touch with why you're doing it. So that's the best advice I can give anybody, because once you know why you're doing something, like for me, my why is that I want to reduce that veteran suicide rate down to zero, from 22 a day to zero. Everybody's got a different why, a reason for why they want to do things. But for me, once I got centralized on that, I said, okay, now that I know that's what gives me purpose to live. Now, how can I quantify that? How can I make it so that that's actually possible? And that's where I started learning how to start a business, how to brand myself online. And again, using YouTube and social media to learn these things, as opposed to, just reading books and going to college. Not that reading books is bad. I read a lot of books as well, but I learn a lot of stuff online and just watching guys who have already done what I'm trying to do. I talk about this a lot in my book, about how important it is to have someone in your life that you can model yourself after. Because when I started the Joey Utah brand, I didn't know where to get started. But I knew, because I was watching Tony Robbins a lot, I was watching Jordan Peterson, I was watching Joe Rogan. I said, okay, what are they doing? Okay, how are they doing it? And how can I replicate that and have the same success? Not the exact same success as them, but eventually make it my own style, but just as a foundation. So I would look to these guys who I consider great speakers and great communicators. And I said, okay, what are they doing? I literally, I'm very obsessive. So I study mannerisms. I study how they look at people, how they make eye contact, and I become obsessed with that. And I was very obsessed with it because, like I said, I knew what my why was. I knew that the more I study this stuff, the more I get into it, better I get at this, the better I will get and closer I'll come to reducing that suicide rate, that 22 a day. And that's what keeps me going, because there's times where I have internal conflict where I'm like, shit, am I going to do this? Is this realistic? But I always focus on why I'm doing it. And that kind of pulls me back, and something good always comes of it.
That's interesting. So this is a for-profit business, right? So you're making money doing what you love to do. I think that's like one of the most inspirational things about, entrepreneurs in general, because I think it takes a specific type of mindset to really do what you're doing and actually like make an impact because of the cause that you're really trying to serve. I'm personally having some issues with this myself as far as like that first dollar. So how do you get that first dollar, that first taste of, okay, this is working? Like what was that like for you?
I struggled with that one mightily, man. I know where you're at because I was there and it's rough. And what I did was I said, all right, just focus on that first sale. I had my long-term goals written out. I knew I could make a lot of money with this Joey Utah brand. I got my own thing. But that first sale, man, that's a pain in the ass sometimes. So I said, all right, it's good to focus on the long term. And I have all of my, everybody I coach write out their long-term goals. But then, and where so many people get caught up is they don't focus on the daily action plans that they got to take to get there. And the daily goals and the daily activities that I have to do. Because I can't just it's not like I just put my brand out and everybody saw this cool logo I had and was like, cool, sign me up. No, I had to do work every day, and I'm still doing work every day. I'm still putting content out on a daily basis, making videos across social media, because people aren't just going to listen to me because I've got a brand, I've got a logo. They got to know that I'm real. And for me, once I grasped the idea that I can leverage the internet, I can use social media, which I'm not a computer savvy guy, by the way. But once I kind of grasped that idea that there's people out there you got to talk to. And you also have to build relationships. Stop worrying about the big picture and do what you're best at. And what I'm best at, I'm sure you're good at too, Robert, is talking to people on an individual basis. I just listened to a blog the other day where they say how important it is to just get your first 100 subscribers. Instead of worrying about how can I get thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to like my page, get your core group of loyal listeners on whether it's your podcast you're starting or your Instagram channel where you're posting your story or your YouTube, whatever it is, and focus on them and build off of that group. And always ask for feedback. Always ask, what can I do better? Thanks for listening. I hope you took something away from the podcast. But is there anything you'd like me to talk about a little more in depth next time? And when you do that, people, they love what you're doing more. That's when they're more inclined to go tell their friends about you. They're more inclined to share your content. And then that's where, once you have your offer set up, and whether it's your coaching services, whatever it is you're offering, whether it's products, or even if you're selling an idea or a belief, you got to start somewhere. And what I've come to learn is you got to build relationships. That's how you get people to believe in you, and that's how you spread a fire. I hope I answered that question. I know you asked how you get that first sale, but sometimes it's tricky, man. And you just got to just be natural with it. Just whatever get clear on what your offer is, what exactly you can provide, whether it's your services or your products, whatever. And then from there, you can start to quantify. And then, like when I offer someone my services, it's not even like an offer because they've already seen Joey Utah on YouTube. Right. They've already seen him on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or wherever I'm at, and they're already likely to buy something from me because they trust me. They know who I am. They like me. They've seen the video. He's real. And that's a powerful thing. And that's why I just started teaching a webinar on how to use social media to build your brand or your business. Because I feel like so many people are right where you're at, and I was there myself. And it really all comes down to just being yourself, being as real as you can be, being someone who's likable, and also someone who's trustable. So you got to be providing value to your audience. And that's very easy to do. Like I said, I don't have a degree. I don't have, anything fancy. I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I look at other stuff that I've learned. I go on YouTube a lot, and then I just put it into my own words and I make it my own style. And people go, okay, this guy's giving me some good advice on how to communicate, on how to start a business, on how to smile in your selfie pic, whatever it is, you're providing value. And they're going to look at you now as a credible source. And that's where they're going to say, okay, I want to work with Robert because he's always giving me this great value. He's always smiling. He's a likable person. What's he selling? What's your offer exactly?
Yeah, that's interesting. So what does your typical day look like? You mentioned that work that you have, and I'm sure you try to be as productive as you possibly can. And I'm just curious as to know, when it comes to work, how you approach it. And start to finish, because I think the way that you start the day really, it affects the way that the entire day flows in a way.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Man, you know that too, because you're my Air Force brother. So you know that starting your day is everything. And you got to start it on the right foot, because if you start your day with a negative mindset or something bad happens and you let that mindset take over, your whole day screwed because you're going to be, oh my God. If you stub your toe in the morning and you're just focused on that pain and you focus on it all day, you're not going to get anything done. You're not going to be productive. So I write out every night before I go to bed. I make a daily action plan of what my day is going to look like when I wake up. So I have an itinerary of sorts of what I'm going to do. And, this doesn't have to be anything complicated. If we were on video, I'd show you my clipboard right now. It's very, very easy to do. I have a clipboard. I write out the first thing I do every morning. I always do at least 2 things I know I can accomplish within an hour of waking up. So they're very small things. And one of them is almost always make your bed. And you know that too from being in the military. Making your bed is one of the best things you can do for yourself in the morning. It takes all of 20 seconds. I'm not saying you have to make your bed like in the military with hospital corners. Just get your bed in order. Just, flap out your blanket. And the reason why that's so important is it's going to give you a sense of accomplishment. And you're going to say, okay, I did this. Now what else can I do? Okay. And then the next thing I do is usually my stretching or my daily gratitude, or I'll do 5 reps of something. I always do 5 to 10 reps of something as soon as I wake up. So, and more or less the same thing with making the bed. It just gets momentum going and it gets me into the mindset. Okay, I already accomplished this. Now what else can I do? And eventually those 5 reps, maybe they'll turn into 6 reps the next day, and then 7, and then 8. And that's how you build strength and get better at something. But yeah, and then anything after that, it's all dependent on my day. So if anybody's trying to build a brand on social media or build a business or get their podcast out there, and something that's almost always on my daily list is talk to 10 new people on social media, whether that's through the comment section or through personal message. Talk to 10 new people every day. I don't do it as much now because now I'm getting a lot bigger. So I don't really have to go out and seek people to talk to because more people are coming to me because I've already set myself up as a credible source. But in the beginning, the first few months, I was very, very devout on that. Every day, 10 people, Joe, you're going to message them. You're going to say hello. That doesn't mean I'm going to pitch my product to 10 people. That just means I'm going to start a conversation and start building a relationship. Once I got that down and I started seeing the results, and I wasn't trying to, like I said before, in the beginning, a lot of people, when they start their business, they try to push their business first. They just want to talk about their business or the products, and it comes off as pushy, and people don't want to work with someone like that. They want to work with someone they know, like, and trust. And the way they know, like, and trust somebody is, somebody who takes time to ask them questions, who wants to know more about them and what they do for a living. So once I got to that's a big part of my daily routine. And now there's also something I always do every day. I always try to create some kind of video content across any one of my social media forms, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Those are my big ones right now. You got to stay fresh. You got to stay consistent. You got to, especially if you're a brand, people got to know that, he's not just trying to make a sale and get out of there. And the thing about video content, that's how people know you're real. That's the best way you can make yourself a real person so that people trust you enough to do business with you. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a FaceTime chat with everybody, but you have to talk to people eventually, and you got to make them feel safe with you.
That makes a lot of sense. So as far as the Joey Utah brand and the things that you're doing, what do you think is the most important thing? Or like if someone were to fast forward the entire interview up to one point, what do you hope they get?
I hope that everybody knows that anybody is capable of doing this. Like I said, I am nothing special. I am not, I don't have any kind of special degree or certification. And I take pride in that, and I'm grateful for everything I've learned. But this is literally something, guys, with social media and what it is, anybody can do this. Anybody can create something beautiful out of nothing. And all it is being yourself. I mean, it's just being real. And I think these are tools that need to be taught more, and they need to be talked about more. Open communication needs to be not just in regards to suicide, but also into regards with, people who aren't suicidal. I know a lot of people who are just depressed because they're not fulfilled with their current job, because they're working a dead-end job that they have no room for growth. They don't feel like they're serving a purpose, and they might not have suicidal thoughts, but they're depressed deep down inside. And it's because they're not clear on what they're doing. They're not clear on their why. They're just waking up and just going with the flow of things. Or I can't tell you how many college kids I talked to who, when I asked them, why are you going to college? More or less, they would say, well, because my parents told me to. And it's like, I'm not saying, screw your parents, but I'm saying if you're not doing it for yourself and for your own personal reasons, then you've already lost the battle. So if I could say one thing to anybody, it is get clear on what you want out of life. Get clear whether that's a job, a relationship, a better relationship with a loved one or a family member, or whatever it is you want. Learn to communicate, and the better you communicate with yourself, the better you'll communicate with others. And once you do that, man, that's where possibility lives, because that's where anything can happen now. Because people are going to want to help you grow if they know that you're a real person and you have a good cause and you're fighting for something that you truly believe in. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 20 veteran a day suicide. It could be, something as small as, I want to start my own business because I want to inspire people to do what they love, without even mentioning that I want to reduce the suicide rate. And people can get behind that because, wow, this guy really believes in it. And, I want to do that too. And I know I'm going on a tangent, but I always say the two things that everybody in life needs to strive for is, one, we all need to be growing on a daily basis. Self-growth and personal development is super important. And if you don't have some kind of personal challenge, whether it's a business or relationship, grades, if you don't have that, something to strive for, you're going to be off to a rocky start. And the second thing, I think that every human being needs to be helping others, needs to be serving others or inspiring others. Again, doesn't mean you have to be a motivational speaker or a life coach, but something as small as just smiling at somebody every day. You're inspiring others, you're helping others feel good. And if anybody's listening to this, the next person you see who you think needs a smile, go smile at them and tell me, and they'll smile back and tell me you don't instantly feel better about yourself because you've made someone else's day that much better with something as small as that, as a small gesture,
right.
Or giving them the time, giving someone the time when they go to talk to you and looking them in the eye and truly, truly listening to them and staying in the moment with them and acknowledging their existence. And again, you'll feel better because you're helping them, but two, you're helping yourself because you might learn something when you open your mind to someone else,
Right. Yeah. This is crazy, man. Joey, I feel like you're probably one of the most positive people I've spoken to in a long time. And I'm sure a lot of people say that to you, man. And I feel like this call is really not long enough, but I know you have to jump. And I definitely appreciate your time. Where can people go to find you?
Absolutely, man. We'll have to do another podcast for sure sometime. But I'm on all different social media forums. I do a lot of my business building on LinkedIn. You can find me at Joey Utah, or you can just go to my website, joeyutah.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. If you type in Joey Utah, I'm getting kind of sick of saying it. But as long as you type it in somewhere, you'll find me somewhere. I'm not hard to find. I'm pretty loud and obnoxious. So.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks a lot for this call, Joey, and I definitely hope to talk to you soon, man.
Absolutely, brother. Anytime. Always happy to help.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a great day. Bye.